Hello everyone, I am Radha from the Department of English. Now I am going to deal with this poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear by Rabindranath Tagore from Unit 3. Now you are very familiar with the poet Rabindranath Tagore, who is an internationally reputed author, who was born on May 7, 1861 and died in the year 1941 on August 7th. Now, coming to the literary background of India, India is a country which is rich in art and culture and also in literature. So, Indian poetry or Indian literature in general has a very long history which dates back to Vedic times. Now, we have also poetry in foreign languages such as Persian and also English. It also has a strong influence on Indian poetry. Now, many writers in India have written in English and they have become internationally reputed authors and received great laurels and also awards in internationally reputed writers. Now, the poetry reflects diverse spiritual traditions within India, and also you see many Indian poets who have been inspired by mystical experiences. Now, we are talking about mystical experiences because we are going to read a poem from Tagore's Gitanjali, which is an anthology of hymns or prayer songs. Now, poetry is the oldest form of literature, and also it has a rich and oral, rich written as well as oral tradition. So there are many poets in India who have written in the oral form and also in the written form. Now, coming to Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was a Bengali poet. He was born at Calcutta, Bengal Presidency in British India. Now, what is the greatness of Rabindranath Tagore? He has written extensively in Bengali. He was not only a writer of a poet, but he was a versatile artist. He was a versatile poet, writer. He is the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. He received this prize for his Gitanjali, which is a collection of hymns. Now, he was the first Asian to receive this prize, Nobel Prize in Literature. Now, he also introduced new prose and verse forms, and he used colloquial language into Bengali literature. Now, the contribution of Rabindranath Tagore, he wrote over 1,000 poems. He has 8 volumes of short stories to his credit. He also has written 24 plays, playlets, 8 novels, and many books and essays on philosophy, religion, education, and also various social issues. Now, Rabindranath Tagore, as the writer of our national anthem, has inspired nationalism, patriotism among Indians, and he also talked about many social evils in our country. And he was not only a poet, he was, as I said before, he was a versatile writer. He wrote poems, he wrote short stories, he wrote dramas, he was a great musician, he was a great painter, he was a great educationist, and he established what we call the Shantiniketan, which later developed as Vishwa Bharati University. Now, about the poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear. Now, in this poem, through this poem, we are going to understand the message of the poet. What is the key message of the poet? And what is his vision of an ideal nation? Now, he talks about freedom, truth, and reason. Now, we can divide the poem into 3 parts, where he talks about the need for freedom, the need for truth, sincerity, and honesty, and how mankind must be led by reason. Now, this poem has relevance even today because though it was written, Rabindranath Tagore was born before we achieved independence. Now, the poem highlights the need for freedom and also freedom from slavery, the way our country was under foreign rule, and how our whole nation and its people has lived under slavery as other people in our own country. Okay, in our own country we were not free and we were exploited and suppressed. Now here this poem is a prayer to universal father figure or the Almighty, or it is a prayer to the divine. Now the poem with its inspiring lines elaborates Tagore's vision of a new enlightened India. Now this is a poem which expresses hope. With freedom we can achieve a new nation, a new people who are enlightened, who are free, and who are going to lead a life which is enlightened. Now let us read the poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear. Now when you look at this poem, you can see how each and every line in this poem starts with the word where. Now here it indicates an ideal place where the author wants to be. What kind of nation, what kind of life he is envisioning. So where the mind is without fear. Without fear means slavery or oppression leads to fear. Now he is talking about a place where there is freedom of thought, freedom of expression. Okay, a mind can think properly, a mind can do things properly only when there is no fear. Okay, so here where the mind is without fear and the head is held high indicates freedom and also confidence and courage, where people can express their views, where people are free to move and live according to their desires, according to their wishes. Now where knowledge is free. Here the author is hinting about the nature of knowledge. Knowledge is something which is free and it should be accessible and available to all. Now in those during those eras, education was limited only to a particular group of people. Now many of the people were uneducated. Illiteracy is a great problem in India. Many of the social evils or many of the conditions or problems or suffering which we are going through is because of lack of knowledge. Now this knowledge is something which must be free to every human being on earth. Now the world has progressed because people were able to express their views or opinions and knowledge has been encouraged. Learning has been encouraged. Now where there is that kind of encouragement, there will be progress. Okay, because of scientific advancement only mankind has achieved this progress. Now if knowledge has been curbed, if knowledge has been controlled, we would not have achieved all this. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments. Now in the first two lines he is talking about freedom. Now he is talking about the need for peace and the need for unity. Now here a mind is not free when there are divisions in society. Unless there is equality, there cannot be liberty. Liberty means freedom. Now you can't achieve freedom if there is no equality. Suppose the Britishers have left our country and still the people of our country are divided into castes, divided according to religions or regions. These divisions create a fear in the minds of people. We look at others with fear. We look at others with suspicion. We look at others with doubt. And so when we are fragmented, we are divided into groups. Okay, by narrow domestic walls. These things are created by us. Domestic means which exist in our own country. These walls are built between different groups of people. Some belong to we have this saying, the rich are becoming richer and the poor are becoming poorer. This is because of equality, because of divisions in the society. A country cannot progress if there are divisions among the people. Okay, on the basis of caste, color, creed, religion or social status. Okay, so by narrow domestic walls, he calls them narrow because these are narrow-minded thinking. Okay, differentiating or discriminating people on the basis of looking down upon people on the basis of their caste or creed. So where words come out from the depths of truth. Now words must, everything we say, our words must come from the depth of truth. Now he is highlighting the need for sincerity and honesty. Okay, the kind of attitude which we should develop. Okay, anything which is built upon something which is false or untruth does not survive, does not exist, does not continue to exist. So where words come out from the depth of truth. Now if you are afraid, you speak lies. Okay, you try to save yourself by speaking lies. But whatever might be the condition, we should not be afraid of the truth, to say the truth. Okay, now the second thing is where tireless striving. Now here he is using a device called personification. Now we work with our hands. Now we working tirelessly means without being tired. Striving means working for something, working towards perfection. So all our words must be based on honesty. That means our thoughts, our words and actions must be sincere, must be honest, and our striving must be towards perfection, achieving perfection. Now here, whatever we think, whatever we do, and whatever we say must be based on reason, logical thinking. Okay, now here he compares reason or logical thinking to a clear stream. Clear means that which is crystal clear or pure. Okay, you can see water which is very, very pure, which is not polluted. Now logic is like a clear stream. Okay, anything which is stagnant becomes murky, which becomes dirty, muddy. Okay, you can see a pond or a lake where the water flows anywhere. It is like that. It is static. Okay, now here a stream is something which is always flowing. So reason is something which is very, very clear. Knowledge is always based on clarity. There is reason, there is logic. So clear stream of reason must not be lost. Okay, we must encourage, it must not be killed by dead habit. Habit is something which is a routine, a habit which is outdated, a custom which is outdated, a tradition which is outdated, which does not serve any purpose and which is not relevant today. Change is the need of the world, or the basis by which we progress. So we cannot live as we lived ages or centuries ago. With scientific advancement, we must change our views and adapt change, new ideas, and we must always base our actions on reason. So it must not be like a stream which flows into a desert, which is dreary, which is dull, which is baseless. So where the mind is led forward by thee. Okay, now he is looking at the divine. Thee here is addressing the God, who is supreme, who is all perfect, who is all powerful. So he is saying that our minds must be led by the divine, not by the devil, by the evil, into ever widening thought. Thought must be something which is inclusive, which is always expanding and not negating. So ever widening thought and action. Thought must be followed by action. Now that he calls is a heaven of freedom. Now where there is no freedom, it is not a heaven. So he wants the country, the nation, to awake into that kind of freedom. Now this is a prayer which Rabindranath Tagore is presenting to God. Now he wishes that his nation wakes up or rises or takes action to achieve this kind of thought, word and action. Now here the poet draws a picture of free India. Now we can see the imagery, that means a picture which is created with words. Now he dreams of a country which has no boundaries, which has no divisions, which is not broken into pieces or fragments, but which is united with an ever widening thought and action. He prays for the welfare of the country. Now the theme of this poem is peace. He desires peace and prosperity among his countrymen, and he prays that the country might attain overall welfare and also self-reliance, which is based on, until the knowledge is free, until there is broad way of thinking or an ever widening thought and action, we cannot achieve this. Now here he uses various poetical devices such as alliteration, that means a repetition of sounds, such as you can see the repetition of the sound head is held high. Now the her sound, this creates a sound, a musical quality, and it also adds to the tone of the poem. Now then we have this assonance, that is the repetition of the S sound, the tireless striving stretches. So the repetition of the sound S, the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Now the repetition of the D sound, freedom my father, repetition of the F sound. Now here we have another usage of the device called anaphora. Anaphora means we are using, now here Tagore uses the word where, which is being repeated. This is to highlight the ideal nation or the nation which he is dreaming about. So for the beginning of all the clauses and all the statements, you see the word where is being, this is a description. These are it is like a map which is showing you what kind of world which he is envisioning. Okay, now we have what is called synecdoche. Here country means the people of the country. Now a word which stands for the people of the country. The word country means people. Okay, now here there are many metaphors which are used in this poem. For example, the big world is compared to many small rooms. Now the world is divided into narrow domestic walls. That means walls separate rooms. Now each nation is like a room which is separated by boundaries, by differences. Now here words coming out from the depth of truth means it is like a fountain or a spring. Just as a fountain is always oozing out, in the same manner, just as water comes out of a spring or a fountain, words must come out of our mouth like a fountain, which is based on truth. Now here the clear stream of reason is a comparison between reason and a flowing stream. Dead habit means a habit which is outdated chokes the clarity of reason. Okay, chokes the clarity of reason means reason is suppressed. Okay, the voice of reason, anyone who speaks the truth is suppressed. So then he is comparing it to the dreary desert, clear stream and dreary desert. Now here freedom is regarded as heaven. Where there is freedom, there is heaven on earth. Okay, where there are no differences between people, where the world is not divided into fragments, where there are clashes, where there is war, where there are conflicts, where there is terrorism. Now here he uses personification. Tireless striving, which is an abstract idea. We cannot, striving is an abstract idea, but here he is giving human qualities or human attributes too. Okay, human beings have arms. Now here we are saying tireless striving is stretching its arms. That means striving is extended to perfection. Now here country is personified to be like a person who wakes up. In the same manner, the country as a whole, the nation as a whole, or its people as a whole must awake, arise and achieve the goal of freedom. Now here apostrophe means direct address. Father, let my country awake means he is directly talking to God and addressing God and asking him to bless the country, bless the people, give the strength to the people to awake, arise and achieve the freedom. Now here there is a line-to-line interpretation of the poem. I have already, now here the first two lines, he requests the Almighty that his country should be free, and he dreams of his nation where knowledge or education is free. The line 3 talks about the fragmented or isolated condition of the world, where every country is divided by differences and conflicts and prejudices and superstitions, and he wants a nation where people are truthful. They are not superficial words but come out from the depth of their hearts, which are based on sincerity and honesty. Now here he desires a country. In line 6 he talks about a country where people strive without getting tired to reach perfection, and from line 7 and 9 he wants the power of reason to dominate the minds of his countrymen. So yeah, the countrymen should be led by, guided by reason, guided by logic, and not by dead habit or superstitions or outdated customs. Now line 10 and 12 talks about directly he addresses the Father or Almighty or the Divine to awaken his country into such a heaven of freedom. Now I hope you like this poem, and this is an inspiring poem, and this is a way we should keep our minds. We should lead our lives without fear, and we should always strive for perfection. We should always stand honestly and work with sincerity, and we should make this world a heaven, and where people live with freedom and people live, we should transform our world into a heaven by keeping in mind, by basing our ideas, our words, our thoughts and actions on reason, based on logic, based on humanity, empathy, and also with great understanding. Now, what is the implication of the poem? Tagore should always, Tagore wishes that we should always aim for freedom, freedom of mind, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of belief, practice and behavior. Now, these are the things which bound us. Now, I hope you understood the poem. Thank you very much for this opportunity.